we have a company that is trying to change the way that you think about mobile PC gaming. And they're doing it in a really innovative way. So we're gonna unbox and check it out. But are they doing something a whole lot better than this? Well, we're gonna find out all about that right here, right now on Robeytech after a word from our sponsor. If you've just built or upgraded your PC and now that Windows watermark just saying activate Windows is just sitting in your face, don't panic. VIP-CDKdeals.com is here to help. VIP-CDK Deals offers legitimate software activation keys at a fraction of the retail price. We're talking deep discounts on Windows 10 and 11, Home and Pro versions, plus Microsoft Office, Steam keys, and so much more. You can even use code RBCK at checkout for an additional 30% off. Check out VIP-CDKdeals.com today and get back to enjoying your PC without that watermark. This right here is the EBlaztr. And the EBlaztr was people who were looking at mobile PC gaming. And when you think about mobile PC gaming, people who are buying this to take gaming on the go. And they didn't just look at laptops and think, you know what, how do I make a better laptop? They kind of took the whole paradigm and changed it completely, because when you really think about gaming on these things, and don't get me wrong, we game a lot on these, right? So this is the Asus Strix G16. This is one of our favorite laptops from last year. But when you think about what this does from a gaming standpoint, because of the limitations of the chassis, the lack of upgradability, even with them fixing things like the ability to literally pop the bottom of this and like very easily access the bottom, that's not enough when you really think about what mobile PC gaming should be like. But when we saw this for the first time, we were like, we have to look at it. Because what's happening is, because of Be Quiet, I'm gonna be heading to QuakeCon in August. If you don't know, I spend a lot of time going to PC LANs. I love LANs, they're a great opportunity for us to check out gaming. And I use my Falcon Northwest Tiki, and I literally have a 100-pound LAN kit that I pull around in a Pelican, and it's a lot of work, right? And so when they thought about this and they said, how do we make this better? Instead of just making a better laptop, they decided to build something completely unique. And this is essentially a PC case that can have a monitor, it can have an entire PC build, and it fits in this kind of dimension. So when I build this out, take it to QuakeCon, the real question and what we're gonna see later is this a whole lot better than taking something like this? First and foremost, let's unbox this and show you what we're working with, and then we'll talk a little bit more about why this is so cool and why I'm so excited. So first we grab the Robeytech knife. There we go. Okay, so there we go, got that open. Now the unboxing experience is pretty straightforward, and from what you're seeing, you know, like a couple people have already built in these things. I know they've been working on and continue to innovate. These are available for purchase, by the way, and we'll talk about pricing and stuff a little bit later on in the video when we show you the website, but they haven't been as widespread in the US market. The US market's been kind of the slowest place for them to get access to. I know that's something that they're working on, but here is the actual unit. So there's not a whole lot to it. Now the one thing that they do say, which is kind of funny, and I think it's pretty neat that they embrace this, is that they're like, you need to read the manual. So I like that they were like, hey, read the manual. No, really, read the manual, and we'll show you that on the website here in a minute. Okay, so here is the device, and we're gonna get some B-roll of this, so you guys are probably getting some closer up stuff here in a minute. Okay, so we get some, I think these are jellies, right? You can just eat these, right? They're really good for you. It's like sugar. Don't eat those, guys. Not a good idea. I didn't even get close in getting that in the hole. It comes with, ooh, look at that. Nice little, I don't know if it's a sticker or, looks like rubber. It like pops, maybe, oh, it pops in here. So you can pop it into the fan thing. Okay, that's cool. And then you get lots of manual stuff and go from there. Okay, so this is the EBlaztr, okay? There you go. That's it. So in the end, what you can see here is that monitor mounts here, you can do up to 25 inches, and then on the other side, you actually have all the room to do a full PC build, right? So you can basically, and you know, you're talking mini-ITX, SFF or SFX PSU, low profile CPU cooler, and all that sort of stuff. And you're gonna basically do a build out inside of this. And there you go. And then construction wise, I mean, like this is like heavy duty aluminum. Not heavy, right? I mean, all the shaking and stuff you're hearing is all the cables and stuff inside, but pretty straightforward. Take some getting used to. But again, a lot of control here in terms of what you can actually do. And then as you tilt it back, and then it locks. There you go. See, you got like a nice like tilted setup there and stuff like that. So yeah, you have some adjustment in terms of even making it look nicer. I think I would just use it kind of straight back and forth, but going from there. So you can do tilt. So there's a top button and lid that opens up here. There you go. And then that's how you get inside of it. Okay, so you get a very, very thin display port cable. You get a bunch of screws for mounting. You get a PCIe Gen 4 riser cable, and we'll talk a little bit about what specs to go into this. And then inside of this, you also get HD audio, USB 3, you get a monitor power cable, and you get a power cable for your system itself. And then you also get an RJ45 because all of that stuff kind of passes through. And then this is kind of the only bummer is that you get multicolored power cables for powering up your stuff. And then you can see here, it's actually really nicely kind of wired in, which is really straightforward. And then again, right here, you'll see these holes. this is so you can VESA mount your monitor in the front to basically get this hooked up. On the back, you got USB 3, USB 2, you got aux and mic, and then you got an RJ45, and then of course your power that powers both your PC and also your monitor at the same time. So one power cable, so very easy to kind of plug in here and be good to go. No USB-C, which is kind of a bummer, but outside of that, everything else pretty straightforward. And then it is, like it's a nice rugged design, right? And then you can see all your IO and stuff is up here for your GPU. So everything like GPU is gonna sit here, PSU sits here, and motherboard sits right here. So that's kind of how things kind of set from there. So anyway, that's the unboxing experience and everything that you get out of the box. You have everything here to build the PC. Now let's go pop over here and then we'll take a look. So this is EBlaztr's website, which you can see here where to buy, all that sort of stuff. So here's the product, and you can see here kind of what we're looking at here. So this is just kind of highlighting with you. You can see there's the GPU, there's the motherboard, and there's the PSU. And then you can see here on the front of it, I don't know why they, one bit of feedback, EBlaztr, please don't, when I highlight your things, make them go dark. That's weird. So just one other little bit of note there. And then you can actually see here that the monitor is on the front. Now, they did make recommendations. We'll show you what some part recommendations are for that as well. There isn't a 25-inch OLED. They have done people who've done 27-inch OLEDs on this, but they said it's not recommended because it makes gripping it hard. So 25 inches is just kind of that ideal spot. And then what they're looking for is VESA that are kind of down at the bottom. So we've talked a little bit about that, and we'll show you that when we get to the recommendations. But this will give you an idea of like what the actual product itself looks like when you have it all set up. And of course, we're gonna build a PC in this, and you'll see all that when we actually get to the live stream portion as well. So let's talk about what kind of hardware we can put in this. And this is where I was kind of talking to you guys a little bit about them recommending read the manual. The manual is very helpful. They're big about that. It was DeBauer who did the same thing. One thing I will definitely say if you're going to end up picking up one of these is that you definitely need to basically read the manual, or if you want to, you can watch our step-by-step guide that we'll do on this when we do the build later on. And then the hardware. So here's what they say for hardware, is that the max size for monitors, 25 inches, it's 100 by 100 millimeter VESA mount. For GPU requirements, you got max length of 330 millimeters, max width 150 millimeters, and then max thickness 70 millimeters. And then the max power for the system is 300 watts. And then the PSU requirements, they set, like I said, SFX or SFXL. And then for the motherboard, these are kind of the critical things, is making sure that you have a 57 millimeter cooler height, and that it matches your TDP, so the thermal power of your actual being able to cool your system. And then your RAM clearance is also key, obviously, because it's talking about low profile. And they went in here and they said, hey, if you do a 5090 laptop with a Core Ultra 9 275HX, which is a very beefy laptop, that gives you a Steel Nomad score of 7,931. And this is where I'm telling you that like where desktops and laptops are not the same thing, okay? So he said if it gets a steel nomad score of 6,931, if you did a Ryzen 7 9800X3D with an RTX 5070 Ti, you would actually get a 7,843. So they're saying that does well, but this can do better for less. Similar price for what you'd spend on this EBlaztr system for what you'd spend on the laptop, you would actually have a more powerful system with the 5070 Ti. What are we putting inside of it? Well, we are obviously going to take it to the max. And I actually had a conversation with the team about what we can actually put inside of it. So we are gonna use the motherboard, the Gigabyte B650i AX, because they recommended it. We're gonna be doing a 5080 FE, and we're gonna do a slight undervolt on the 5080 FE. AMD is actually sending us a Ryzen 7 9800X3D. And on that Ryzen 7 9800X3D, we're actually checking out a brand new air cooler from Cryoig, and this is called the C5 CU. And the C5 CU, this has actually got a vapor chamber cooler, and you guys are seeing it right here. Now this thing is awesome, right? We're talking 180 watt TDP. It will totally fit in this. In fact, it was actually the team at EBlaztr that recommended this to us and connected us with them, and that unit will be on the way. So when we do this build, this is actually the low profile cooler we'll actually be using, which I'm actually really, really excited about. And you can actually also see here that it actually has some fins for also pulling in air and all that sort of stuff. So very, very excited to see how our performance is with this. 64 gigs of Vengeance, and then we'll do 4 terabyte Core MP600 from Corsair, and thanks to Corsair for sending that. And then we'll be doing the Corsair SFX 850 watt PSU, so that should be absolutely awesome. And then we'll get it all wired up and hooked up, and then we'll be testing this and figuring out what kind of rig will carry this on when we actually take this to QuakeCon, which will actually be super, super cool. The one thing that the team over EBlaztr are working on is actually a suitcase. You can just throw this inside of. It looks like a standard carry-on suitcase. It should be really cool to see how that works. I think for us, we're probably gonna do a Pelican, but I'm really, really excited about it. I'm excited to see what we're able to do, and if this ends up being a better option for people who do LANs or wanna make these rigs, how portable we can actually make that when we actually get this built. So excited to see this. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to know your thoughts. We'll go ahead and build out a parts list. We'll put that down in the description so you can see what we're actually gonna put inside of this. Let me know if you have any feedback on what we're putting inside of this to see if there's anything that you would change. But obviously we have companies sending us this stuff, so you know that helps with lowering the cost sometimes. And then what kind of rig would you put inside of this? And all specifically, thinking about having downward facing ports, what monitor, 25-inch monitor, would you recommend putting on this? I'd love to know that as well. Also, if you want to continue the conversation, maybe talk about this a little bit later on, or you have further feedback, head over to our Discord server, discord.gg/Robeytech. Amazing place to meet other like-minded people, continue the conversation, and you might make a friend. Also, thank you for watching us. Follow us on all the other social media platforms at Robeytech everywhere. If you made it this far in the video, hopefully you're looking forward to part 2 and part 3 of this, because we have a lot to do with this build, and I look forward to doing that later on.